The city never sleeps, and neither does he. Behind closed doors, power moves are made in silence, and tonight, one decision will change 2 lives forever. If you love dramatic stories with emotional depth, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. And tell me, would you have made the same choice? Let's dive in.
The snow doesn't care that I have nowhere to go. It falls in thick, relentless sheets, turning Chicago's streets into a frozen wasteland that glitters under streetlights like broken glass. Beautiful, if you're watching from behind heated windows with a cup of something warm. Deadly, if you're sitting on a bench in Grant Park at 11 p.m. with everything you own stuffed into a backpack that's seen better days. I pull my coat tighter. It's not enough. Hasn't been enough for 3 nights now. But it's all I have. The wool is good quality. Or it was 2 years ago when I bought it for my first day at Morrison & Associates. Back when I had a career, an apartment with lake views, a life that made sense. Back before I discovered the discrepancies in the Castellano accounts and made the catastrophic mistake of thinking the FBI would actually protect a witness. My fingers have gone past cold into that dangerous numbness that means frostbite isn't far behind. I should move, find a shelter, but the last 2 were full. The third asked for ID, and I can't use my real name. Can't use the fake one the FBI gave me either, not since someone leaked my location to exactly the people I'd testified against. Marshall Davidson had promised me safety. Promised a new identity, a new city. A fresh start in exchange for my testimony about the Castellano family's money laundering operation. He'd delivered me right into a trap instead. 3 weeks ago, men with guns and Eastern European accents had kicked down the door of my safe house in Milwaukee. I'd escaped through a bathroom window only because I'd heard them coming, had been paranoid enough to sleep in my clothes every night since entering protection. The burner phone Davidson gave me went straight to voicemail. Every number I called, dead or disconnected. Either the entire witness protection program had been compromised, or I'd been specifically abandoned. I'm betting on option 2. So here I am, back in Chicago where this nightmare started. Hiding in plain sight among the homeless population because it's the last place anyone would look for Mira Merchant, former forensic accountant with a corner office and a 6-figure salary. I've kept moving, kept my head down, and tried not to freeze to death while figuring out my next move. Except I'm out of moves. Out of money. Out of options. Out of time. The cold is winning. A black car slides past the park, moving too slowly for normal traffic. It's the 3rd time in an hour. My pulse kicks up despite the cold trying to slow everything down. They're looking for someone. Maybe not me, but I can't take that chance. I stand on legs that barely cooperate, slinging my backpack over one shoulder. That's when I see him. He's standing under a streetlight about 30 feet away, and he absolutely does not belong in Grant Park at this hour. Everything about him screams money and power. The long black coat that probably costs more than I used to make in a month, perfectly tailored despite the wind trying to pull it sideways. Dark hair shot through with silver at the temples, sharp features that look carved rather than born. Even from this distance, I can see the way he commands space, owns it, like the cold wouldn't dare touch him without permission. He's looking right at me. Every instinct screams run, but my body has other ideas about rapid movement in sub-zero temperatures. I manage 2 steps before my legs give out, the combination of cold and 3 days of minimal food finally catching up. I'm going down. Can feel it happening. And the snow-covered concrete is going to hurt. Strong hands catch me before I hit. I'm pulled against warmth that feels impossible, solid muscle and expensive fabric, and the scent of sandalwood and winter air. For a moment, I can't process anything except that I'm not cold. For the first time in 72 hours, I'm actually warm. Easy. His voice is low, accented. Italian, my brain supplies distantly. When did you last eat? I should pull away. Should run, fight, do something other than lean into this stranger's heat like I'm dying for it. Which technically, I am. I'm fine, I manage. but my voice shakes badly enough that we both know it's a lie. He makes a sound that might be amusement or concern. I can't tell which. Then he's shrugging out of his coat, wrapping it around my shoulders over my own inadequate one. The difference is immediate and devastating. The coat holds his body heat, surrounds me in warmth and that sandalwood scent, and I actually feel tears prick at my eyes from the sheer relief of it. You're not fine, Bellissima. You're hypothermic. His hands stay on my shoulders, steadying me. There's a car waiting. We're going to get you somewhere warm, get food in you, and then we're going to talk about why Mira Merchant is freezing to death in Grant Park when she should be in witness protection. The world tilts. Not from the cold this time, but from the casual way he's just said my real name. The name no one should know, that I haven't spoken out loud in 6 months. I try to jerk away, but his grip tightens. Not painful, but absolutely immovable. Who are you? I demand, and I'm proud that I sound more angry than terrified, even though I'm definitely both. He smiles, and it's the kind of smile that probably makes people confess to things they didn't do. Dangerous and beautiful and entirely too knowing. Then he leans in close, his breath warm against my ear, and whispers 4 words that change everything. I'm your only option. He pulls back enough to meet my eyes, and I see something in his expression that I can't quite name. Not threat exactly, but not safety either. Something in between, complicated and calculating. My name is Dante Salvatore, he says quietly, like he's giving me information I should recognize. When I don't react beyond confusion, something flickers across his face. Surprise, maybe. You really don't know who I am, should I? Most people in your former profession would. His thumb traces a small circle on my shoulder, the gesture almost absent, like he doesn't realize he's doing it. I run the Salvatore family operations. Everything from New York to Nevada, including Chicago. The words penetrate slowly through my cold, muddled brain. Salvatore family. Family the way he says it, capital F. Meaning organized crime. Meaning mafia. I've just been caught by the kind of man I spent years tracking money for. The kind whose accounts I've frozen and whose operations I've helped dismantle. I should be terrified. I am terrified. But I'm also still impossibly warm in his coat, and he's looking at me like I'm something valuable rather than something disposable. The Castellanos want you dead, he continues, still in that quiet, almost gentle tone. The FBI has hung you out to dry. You have no money, no allies, nowhere to go. His eyes hold mine, dark and fathomless. I'm offering you a third option. Protection, resources, safety, in exchange for a conversation. Just a conversation? To start. He releases my shoulders but stays close, blocking the wind. After that, we'll see. But first, we get you warm before you lose fingers to frostbite. Then we talk. You're no good to me dead, Mira Merchant. The car that's been circling pulls up to the curb. The back door opens, spilling warm air into the frozen night. Dante gestures toward it, letting me choose. I think about Marshall Davidson's promises, about trusting the system and ending up alone in the snow, about the fact that I'm out of good choices and down to choosing between bad ones and worse ones. At least this bad choice is warm. I walk toward the car. The car's interior is like stepping into another world. Leather seats heated to exactly the right temperature, soft lighting, and blessed, miraculous warmth. I sink into the seat and have to fight not to make embarrassing sounds of relief as sensation starts returning to my extremities. It hurts, the pins and needles of thawing flesh. But I welcome it because it means I'm not losing anything permanent yet. Dante slides in beside me, close enough that I can feel the heat radiating from him. The driver pulls away from the curb without a word, smooth and professional. I catch a glimpse of him in the rearview mirror. Older, maybe 60, with the kind of face that's seen things and decided not to talk about them. "Marco, take us to the penthouse," Dante says. Then, to me, "There's water in the compartment beside you. Drink slowly." I should probably refuse on principle, maintain some illusion of independence. Instead, I reach for the water bottle with shaking hands that still aren't quite working right. The first sip tastes better than anything I've had in months. I drink carefully, making myself pace it, even though I want to gulp the entire bottle. Dante watches me with an intensity that should be uncomfortable, but somehow isn't. He's assessing, I realize. Taking inventory of my condition with the same clinical precision I used to apply to financial statements. Looking for weaknesses, calculating risk and value. "How long have you been on the street?" he asks. 3 weeks. 4 days in Chicago." "And before that?" I consider lying. Decide there's no point. He clearly knows who I am. Probably knows more about my situation than I do. Milwaukee. Safe house that wasn't safe. Men with guns who knew exactly where to find me. Something dark flickers across his face. Anger. But I don't think it's directed at me. "Davidson. You know him?" "I know of him. Marshal with a gambling problem and flexible ethics." Dante's voice has gone cold, empty of the warmth he'd shown me in the park. "The Castellanos have owned him for 2 years. Every witness he's placed, they've known about within 48 hours. The words hit like a physical blow. I'd suspected, but having it confirmed makes it real. Makes it worse. The FBI doesn't know. The FBI doesn't want to know. Davidson brings in high-value witnesses, closes big cases. What happens to those witnesses after the trials is someone else's problem. He pauses. "Until now. What's different now? You." He says it simply, like it's obvious. "You're still alive." Davidson's witnesses don't usually survive 3 weeks once the Castellanos find them. I process that, the implication that I should already be dead, that my paranoia and bathroom window escape have bought me borrowed time. So why aren't I? Dead, I mean. They found me in Milwaukee. They're looking for me here. Why haven't they finished it? Dante's smile is sharp, predatory. Because 36 hours ago, I let it be known that anyone who touches you answers to me personally. Put a bounty on information about your location, alive only. Made it very clear that dead doesn't interest me. The car sways slightly as we turn, and I grip the water bottle to keep it steady. My brain is trying to catch up, to make sense of what he's saying. Why would you do that? You don't know me. You run the kind of operation I used to investigate. True on all counts. He shifts slightly, angling toward me. But you have something I need, and I have something you need. That's the basis of every good business arrangement. I don't have anything. They took everything. You have information. 3 years of investigating the Castellano family's financial operations. Knowledge of their accounts, their shell corporations, their money flows. His eyes hold mine. You have the kind of detailed intelligence that could dismantle their entire East Coast operation. Understanding dawns, cold and clear. You want me to help you destroy them. I want you to help me take what's theirs. There's a difference. He reaches forward, presses a button that raises a privacy screen between us and Marco. The Castellanos have been expanding aggressively into territories that don't belong to them. Chicago, primarily. My territory. They've killed 3 of my men in the last 2 months, bombed 2 of my businesses, and generally made the mistake of thinking I'm too civilized to go to war. Are you? Too civilized? That dangerous smile again. What do you think? I think I'm sitting next to a man who's probably killed people, who runs criminal operations and speaks about territory like he's a feudal lord, who has the kind of power that makes other criminals back off with a single warning. I should be terrified. Instead, I'm calculating. If I help you, I say slowly, what do I get besides not freezing to death? Safety. Real safety, not the FBI's version. New identity with documentation good enough to fool anyone who isn't specifically looking. Money. Revenge on the people who tried to kill you. He pauses, and a choice about what happens next. Stay in Chicago under my protection, or disappear to anywhere in the world you want with enough money to build a new life. It's too good. Has to be. What's the catch? The catch is that you work for me until the Castellanos are dealt with. Could be a month, could be 6. You live where I say, go where I say, and you give me everything you know about their financial operations. His voice softened slightly. But you're not a prisoner, Mira. You're an asset I'm investing in. There's a difference. The car slows, turning into an underground parking garage. I catch a glimpse of the building above us. Luxury high-rise, all glass and steel, and the kind of address that comes with doormen and lake views. I need to think about it, I say, even though we both know I don't have much choice. Of course. Dante opens his door as the car stops, then extends a hand to help me out. Take the night. Get warm, eat, sleep in a real bed. We'll talk in the morning when you're thinking clearly. I take his hand because my legs still aren't entirely steady. His grip is warm, strong, careful. He helps me out of the car like I'm something fragile, rather than something he's just acquired for business purposes. The elevator ride up is silent. I'm very aware of him beside me, of the expensive coat still wrapped around my shoulders, of the fact that I'm about to enter this man's home with no backup plan and no exit strategy. The doors open directly into the penthouse, and my breath catches. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook Chicago's skyline. The city spread out like scattered diamonds on black velvet. The space is enormous, decorated with the kind of understated elegance that screams old money. Modern furniture, original art, a kitchen that belongs in magazines. Guest room is this way, Dante says, gesturing down a hallway. Bathroom attached. There should be clothes that fit well enough for tonight. We'll get you proper things tomorrow. I follow him, feeling surreal. 12 hours ago, I was preparing to possibly die of exposure in a park. Now I'm being shown to a guest room that's larger than my old apartment's living room. Why me? I asked suddenly, stopping in the doorway. You could hire any forensic accountant. Why go to the trouble of finding me specifically? Dante turns, and for the first time I see something unguarded in his expression, something almost honest. Because you're the only person who hurt the Castellanos badly enough that they're still trying to kill you 6 months later, he says quietly. That kind of damage is exactly what I need. He leaves me there, pulling the door closed behind him with a soft click. I stand in the middle of luxury I can barely process, still wearing his coat, and try to decide if I've just been saved or if I've made a deal with someone more dangerous than the people I'm running from. The bathroom is obscene. Marble everywhere, a shower with 6 different heads, a bathtub deep enough to swim in. I catch sight of myself in the mirror and actually flinch. 3 weeks on the street has done more damage than I realized. My face is gaunt, cheekbones too prominent under skin that's gone grayish from cold and malnutrition. My dark hair, usually glossy and well-maintained, hangs in tangles. I look haunted. Hunted. I look like exactly what I am. The shower takes forever to figure out. All touch controls and temperature settings. When I finally get it working, the hot water feels like absolution. I stand under the spray until my skin turns pink, until I've stopped shaking, until I can feel my fingers and toes again without the pins and needles sting. There's expensive soap, shampoo that smells like bergamot and something green. I use probably too much of everything, scrubbing away 3 weeks of grime and fear. The water at my feet runs gray at first, then clear. I wash my hair 3 times before it feels clean. When I finally emerge, wrapped in a towel that's softer than most blankets, I find clothes laid out on the bed. Not the ones that were there before. These are new, tags still attached. Leggings in exactly my size, a cashmere sweater in deep gray. Undergarments that are somehow also the right size. Thick socks, because whoever chose these understands that my feet are still recovering from near frostbite. Someone came in while I was showering. Should creep me out. Instead, I'm just grateful for clothes that fit, that are warm, that aren't the same 3 outfits I've been rotating through my backpack. I dress slowly, my body still adjusting to being warm and clean. There's a hairbrush on the dresser, basic toiletries, even lotion. I use it all, taking small comfort in these ordinary acts of self-care that I've been without. When I emerge from the guest room, I follow the smell of food. Real food, not vending machine snacks or day-old sandwiches from convenience stores. The kitchen is softly lit, and Dante stands at the stove in shirt sleeves, his suit jacket discarded somewhere. He's cooking, which seems impossible somehow. Mafia bosses shouldn't know how to make pasta from scratch, but that's clearly what he's doing. He looks up when I enter, his eyes doing that assessment thing again. Whatever he sees must satisfy him because something in his expression softens. Better? He asks, warmer. Thank you for the clothes. Can't have you catching pneumonia after I went to the trouble of finding you. He gestures to a stool at the kitchen island. Sit. This is almost ready. I sit, watching him work with the easy competence of someone who's done this 1,000 times. You cook? My grandmother insisted. Said any man who couldn't feed himself wasn't worth keeping alive. He plates pasta with a cream sauce that smells like heaven, sets it in front of me along with silverware and a cloth napkin. Eat slowly. Your stomach won't be used to rich food. The first bite tastes so good I actually close my eyes. Real Parmesan, butter, garlic, cream. Flavors I'd forgotten existed. I make myself eat slowly despite wanting to inhale everything, and Dante watches while pretending not to. The clothes fit, he observes. Perfectly. How did you know my size? I'm very good at assessment. He pours wine, red and probably expensive, slides a glass toward me. Also, I had my assistant pull your employee file from Morrison & Associates. Your measurements were in their system from when they ordered you business attire. I should be disturbed by how thoroughly he's investigated me. Instead, I'm impressed by the efficiency. You're very prepared for someone who just found me tonight. I've been looking for you for 3 weeks, since the Milwaukee incident made the news as a gas explosion. He leans against the counter, wine glass in hand. When I heard that a federal safe house had been compromised and the witness had escaped, I started digging. Your testimony damaged the Castellanos significantly. I wanted to know who you were, what you knew, so you could use me. So I could offer you an alternative to freezing to death, yes. No apology in his voice. I won't pretend this is altruism, Mira. I need what you know. But that doesn't mean I'm not genuinely offering you protection. I take another bite. Let the food ground me. My brain is working better now, the combination of warmth and calories bringing clarity. Tell me about the Castellanos. What they did that made you willing to go to war. Dante's expression hardens. They killed my cousin, Marco's son, 23 years old, bartender at one of our legitimate restaurants. He wasn't involved in family business, had made that clear. They killed him anyway, left his body in the street as a message. The pain in his voice is real, raw. I recognize it because I've carried my own version. I'm sorry. After that, they bombed a social club. Daytime, lots of civilians. 6 people died, including a 10-year-old girl who was just walking past. His knuckles are white around the wine glass. The Castellanos used to have rules, used to operate with some sense of honor. Under the new leadership, they've become animals. New leadership? Victor Castellano took over from his father 8 months ago. Younger, more aggressive, and aligned with the Volkov Bratva out of Brighton Beach. Dante meets my eyes. You testified against his father. Victor took it personally. The contract on you isn't just business. It's revenge. That explains the persistence, the resources committed to finding one accountant. So helping you isn't just about dismantling their operation. It's about survival. Welcome to the world of clear-eyed understanding. He refills my wine glass. With what you know about their financial infrastructure and my knowledge of their operational structure, we can hurt them badly enough that they either retreat or collapse entirely. Either outcome works for me. I finish the pasta, my stomach pleasantly full for the first time in weeks. And if I say no, if I just want to take the new identity and disappear, then I give it to you. He says it simply, no threat underneath. I won't keep you prisoner, Mira. Won't force you to help. But I think you want this as much as I do. Want what? Revenge. Justice, if you prefer that word. They tried to kill you. The FBI betrayed you. Everyone who was supposed to protect you failed. He moves closer, sets his glass down beside mine. I'm offering you a chance to hit back, to make them pay for what they took from you. He's right, and I hate that he's right. I do want revenge. Want to watch the Castellanos suffer the way they've made me suffer. Want to take everything from Victor the way he tried to take everything from me. What exactly would I be doing? I ask. Analyzing their current financial records, which I can obtain. Identifying vulnerabilities, accounts we can drain or freeze. Shell corporations we can collapse. Money trails we can expose to federal authorities. He's close enough now that I can smell sandalwood again. You'd work from here, secure location. I'd provide everything you need. Computer equipment, files, protection. For how long? However long it takes. His eyes hold mine. I know this is asking a lot. Trust from someone who has no reason to trust anyone. But I keep my word, Mira. When this is done, you get everything I promised. Safety, money, choice. I want to believe him. That's the terrifying part. This man I've known for 2 hours, who's probably killed people, who runs the kind of organization I used to help prosecute. I want to believe him because the alternative is going back out into the cold with nowhere to go and no one to turn to. I need guarantees. I say finally. Written contract. Specific terms. Exit conditions. Something like respect flickers across his face. Of course. My lawyer will draw up something tomorrow. Everything documented, everything clear. And I need to know exactly what I'm getting into. Your operation, your methods. I won't help you do something worse than what the Castellanos are doing. Fair. He extends his hand. Tomorrow, full transparency. Tonight, you rest. Recover. Think about whether this is something you can live with. I look at his hand, at the choice he's offering. Partnership with a criminal or death in the cold. Not much of a choice, but at least it's mine to make. I take his hand. His grip is warm, firm, and I feel the calluses on his palm. Not soft hands, hands that have worked, fought, survived. Tomorrow, I agree. He shows me back to the guest room, points out the security system, how to lock the door from inside. You're safe here, he says. No one gets to this floor without me knowing. Sleep as long as you need. After he leaves, I lock the door and stand in the middle of the room, processing everything. I've just agreed to work with a Mafia boss to destroy another Mafia family. Have traded one form of danger for another. But as I climb into the softest bed I've touched in months, warm and clean and fed, I can't quite regret it. Not yet. Anyway, I wake to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the disorienting sensation of not knowing where I am. The panic hits first, pure instinct from 3 weeks of sleeping in places where waking up meant immediate danger assessment. Then memory floods back. Dante, the penthouse. The deal I've tentatively agreed to. I'm safe, or at least safer than I've been since this nightmare started. The clock on the nightstand reads 9:47. I've slept almost 12 hours, my body finally allowing itself to shut down completely now that it's warm and protected. I stretch carefully, cataloging aches and pains. My feet are tender but functional. The headache from mild dehydration has faded. I feel almost human again. There's a soft knock at the door. Mira, I have coffee if you're awake. Dante's voice, casual and unthreatening. I pull on the robe I'd found hanging in the bathroom, check myself in the mirror. Better than last night, though still too thin. Still carrying shadows under my eyes that speak of prolonged stress. Come in, I call. He enters carrying a tray with coffee. Fresh fruit. Pastries that smell like they came from an actual bakery. He's dressed more casually than last night. Dark jeans and a charcoal sweater that probably costs more than my entire pre-homeless wardrobe. His hair is slightly damp, like he's recently showered. Good morning, he says, setting the tray on the small table by the window. How did you sleep? Like the dead. I accept the coffee he pours, black because he somehow knows I don't take cream or sugar. Thank you for this. All of this. Basic human decency isn't something you should have to thank me for. He settles into the chair opposite mine, his own coffee in hand, though I understand why you do. We sit in comfortable silence for a moment, eating breakfast, looking out over Chicago's skyline. It feels surreal, domestic, nothing like what I expected from a Mafia boss. I have some people coming this morning, Dante says eventually. My lawyer, Gabriela Santos. She'll go over the contract with you, make sure everything is clear and legally binding, and my head of security, James Chen. He'll brief you on protection protocols. You're really doing this, the whole formal arrangement thing. I told you I keep my word. His eyes meet mine over his coffee cup. You need to trust me enough to work with me. That requires transparency. Most criminals don't operate with contracts and lawyers. Most criminals are idiots who end up dead or in prison by 40. He sets down his cup. I run my operations like a business because that's what they are. Illegal business, yes, but business nonetheless. Contracts, accountability, clear terms. It's how you survive long term. I study him, this contradiction of a man. Organized crime boss who cooks pasta and quotes his grandmother and believes in documentation. How long have you been running the family? 12 years. Took over when my father died. Heart attack, nothing dramatic. A slight smile. I was 26, probably too young, but my uncle was worse and my cousin had no interest. So it fell to me. Do you ever regret it? This life? He considers the question seriously. Doesn't give me an easy answer. I regret what it costs. The relationships I can't have because they'd be leverage against me. The constant vigilance. The violence, even when it's necessary. He pauses. But I'm good at it, and I keep a lot of people safe. Employed, protected. That counts for something. It's more honesty than I expected. More humanity than the word mafia boss usually conjures. What about you? He asks. How does a forensic accountant end up testifying against one of the most dangerous crime families on the East Coast? I wrap both hands around my coffee mug, gathering warmth and courage. Stupidity, mostly. I was assigned to audit one of our clients, a venture capital firm. Found discrepancies, traced them back through shell corporations and offshore accounts. Realized I was looking at a massive money laundering operation. And instead of walking away, you went to the FBI. I thought it was the right thing to do. I laugh, bitter. Thought the system worked. That if I came forward with evidence, they'd protect me while they built their case. They used you. They used me, I confirm. Got everything they needed for their prosecution, put me in front of a grand jury, then handed me to Davidson like I was someone else's problem. 6 months in witness protection watching my entire life disappear while I waited for a trial that kept getting delayed. Dante's expression has gone cold again. That dangerous emptiness I saw last night when he talked about Davidson. The trial happened 2 weeks ago. Victor was acquitted on most charges. His father got 3 years minimum security. Essentially a vacation. The words hit like a punch. What? You didn't know. He pulls out his phone, shows me news articles I haven't seen because I've been too busy surviving to access internet. Key evidence was ruled inadmissible. Something about chain of custody. The prosecution's case fell apart. I read the articles with growing horror. Everything I'd sacrificed. Every piece of my life I'd given up, and it hadn't even mattered. They'd walked away basically free while I was still running for my life. The evidence was fine when I handed it over, I say, voice shaking. Someone tampered with it. Made sure it couldn't be used. Davidson probably, or someone else the Castellanos own. Dante takes his phone back. I'm sorry, Mira. You deserved to know. The fury that rises is white hot, cleansing. I'd been angry before, scared and betrayed, but this is different. This is rage at a system so corrupt it destroys the people trying to help it. At my own naivety for believing in justice. I want them destroyed, I say quietly. Not just hurt. Not just set back. I want Victor Castellano to lose everything the way I lost everything. Dante's smile is sharp, approving. Then we're in agreement. The intercom buzzes before I can respond. Dante rises smoothly. That'll be Gabriella and James. Get dressed. Take your time. We'll be in my office when you're ready. He leaves me with the remains of breakfast and a burning need for revenge that feels dangerous and righteous in equal measure. I dress in the clothes provided, all of which fit perfectly. More leggings, a soft cream sweater, ankle boots that are both practical and stylish. Someone has excellent taste and attention to detail. The face that looks back at me from the mirror is still too thin, still haunted. But there's something else now. Determination. Purpose. I've spent 3 weeks running, hiding, barely surviving. Time to stop running and start fighting back. I find them in Dante's office, a space that manages to be both elegant and functional. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive desk with multiple monitors, seating areas that probably host meetings about things I don't want to know about. 2 people wait with Dante. The woman is striking, late 30s, with dark skin and silver-streaked hair pulled back in a severe bun. She wears a perfectly tailored suit and the expression of someone who suffers no fools. The man is younger, maybe early 40s, Asian features and the kind of build that speaks of serious military training. He stands like he's cataloging exits and threats automatically. Mira Merchant, Dante says. Meet Gabriela Santos, my attorney, and James Chen, head of security. Gabriela extends her hand, her grip firm and professional. Ms. Merchant, I've prepared a contract based on Mr. Salvatore's specifications. Shall we review it? Please. We spend the next hour going through documentation that's surprisingly thorough. Terms of employment, compensation structure, security protocols, exit conditions, everything clearly defined, witnessed, legally binding even if the underlying business isn't exactly legal. You'll receive $200,000 upon signing, Gabriela explains. Another $300,000 when the Castellano operation is successfully dismantled. Plus living expenses, protection costs, and relocation funds if you choose to leave Chicago afterward. $500,000. More money than I'd make in 5 years at my old job. Enough to disappear anywhere in the world and start over completely. And if something happens to me? I ask. If the Castellanos find me despite the protection? Your designated beneficiary receives the full amount plus $1 million settlement, Gabriela says. Mr. Salvatore takes the safety of his associates very seriously. James speaks for the first time, his voice surprisingly gentle. That won't happen. I've handled protection details in war zones. Keeping you safe in Chicago is relatively simple. Nothing about this feels simple. Fair point. A slight smile. But I'm very good at my job, Ms. Merchant. Trust me when I say you're safer now than you've been since you entered witness protection. I look at Dante, who's been quiet during most of this. And when it's done? When the Castellanos are dealt with? You choose, he says simply. Stay in Chicago under my protection with a job in one of my legitimate businesses. Relocate anywhere in the world with a new identity and enough money to live comfortably. Or something else entirely. Your choice. Honored completely. It's everything I need and more than I hoped for. The contract is fair. The terms clear. The protection's significant. I pick up the pen Gabriela offers. One more thing, I say before signing. I want to be involved. Not just analyzing numbers from a distance. I want to see this through, understand what's happening, be part of bringing them down. Dante's expression shifts, something like respect and concern mixing. That means more risk, I know. But I need this. Need to actively participate in destroying the people who destroyed my life. He studies me for a long moment, then nods. Agreed. Full transparency, active involvement. You'll be briefed on all operations. I sign the contract. I wake to the sound of wind against glass and the unfamiliar sensation of silk sheets against my skin. For a moment, I'm disoriented, my body expecting the hard bench or concrete that's been my bed for weeks. Then consciousness fully returns. The penthouse. Dante Salvatore. The impossible choice I'm still processing. The guest room looks different in daylight. What seemed elegant last night reveals itself as extraordinary now. Exposed brick on one wall contrasts with smooth plaster painted in warm ivory. The ceiling is higher than it needs to be, crossed with original wooden beams that speak of the building's industrial past, before it became luxury housing. Someone spent serious money preserving history while adding comfort. I sit up slowly, testing my body's response. My feet still ache, but the dangerous numbness is gone. The persistent headache that's been my companion for days has finally faded. I feel weak, hollowed out, but alive in a way I hadn't been certain of 24 hours ago. The bedside clock glows 9:47 in soft blue numbers. Almost 12 hours of sleep, my body finally trusting enough to fully shut down. A quiet knock interrupts my assessment. Mira? I brought breakfast if you're awake. Dante's voice carries through the heavy door, and I'm struck by how normal this feels, how quickly the human mind adapts to new circumstances, even absurd ones. I find the robe from last night, black silk that whispers against my skin. In the mirror above the vintage dresser, I look marginally more human. The grayish pallor has faded to something closer to my natural olive tone. My eyes are clearer, though dark circles still paint crescents underneath. Come in, I call. He enters balancing a lacquered tray, and I notice details I missed in last night's exhaustion. The way he moves with precise economy, like someone trained in combat who's learned to mask it with civilian grace. The faint scar bisecting his left eyebrow. The fact that his watch is expensive but not ostentatious, chosen for function rather than display. He's dressed differently this morning. Dark gray trousers and a black sweater in some material that drapes perfectly probably merino wool. His feet are bare, which seems oddly intimate. Humanizing. "Morning," he says, setting the tray on a reclaimed wood table positioned near windows that overlook Lake Michigan. "How are you feeling?" "Less like I'm dying." I accept the espresso cup he offers, proper Italian porcelain with weight and balance. The coffee is perfect, strong, and smooth. "Thank you for letting me sleep. Your body needed it." He settles into the bentwood chair across from me, his own espresso in hand. "I've had people bring some things. Gabriela Santos, my attorney, and James Chen, who handles security. They'll be here at 11 to go over everything formally. The breakfast between us is understated but clearly expensive. Fresh figs and prosciutto, aged manchego, bread that's still warm from whatever bakery he has connections with. Real food, thoughtfully assembled. "You're really doing this," I say. "The whole legitimate contract arrangement." "I told you I keep my word." He selects a fig, splits it carefully. "You're taking a significant risk working with me. The least I can do is ensure you understand exactly what you're agreeing to." I eat slowly, letting my stomach adjust to richness it's not used to anymore. The silence between us isn't uncomfortable. He seems content to wait, to let me process. "Tell me something," I say eventually. "Why this life? You're clearly educated, capable. You could do anything." He considers the question while looking out at the lake, where morning sun turns the water into hammered silver. "My grandfather came from Napoli with nothing. Built the family businesses, legitimate and otherwise, to provide for people who had no other options. When my father died, I inherited responsibility for hundreds of families." "That's not really an answer." "No, it's not." He meets my eyes. "The truth is I'm good at this. Strategy, management, reading people. And in this world, I can protect people the legal system ignores. Is it the right choice morally? Probably not, but it's the choice I made." There's no bravado in his admission, no romanticizing, just honest assessment of complicated reality. "The people coming today," I say, changing subjects. "Tell me about them." "Gabriela is the smartest person I know. Harvard Law, could have made partner at any major firm. Instead, she represents people like me because she believes the legal system fails the communities we serve." He pours more espresso from a small pot I hadn't noticed. "James is former Marine intelligence. He saved my life in a situation I won't detail, and I hired him on the spot. You trust them. With my life, which means I trust them with yours." The intercom chimes softly, a sound like wind chimes rather than a harsh buzzer. Dante rises fluidly. "That's them. Take your time, get dressed. We'll be in the library when you're ready." After he leaves, I finish breakfast alone, processing the strange normality of this morning. Yesterday I was preparing to possibly die of exposure. Today I'm drinking espresso in a penthouse, about to sign a contract with a crime boss. The clothes, waiting in the closet, are different from last night's offerings. Someone has been shopping. I find charcoal trousers that fit like they were tailored for me, a jade silk blouse, a structured blazer in navy. Understated jewelry, simple gold that whispers rather than shouts. I dress carefully, each piece of clothing, a small reclamation of the professional woman I used to be. The mirror shows someone recognizable now. Still too thin, still marked by recent trauma, but present. Focused. I find them in a room Dante called the library, though it's more of a sanctuary. 3 walls of books floor to ceiling, the 4th all windows with views that stretch to the horizon. A massive partner's desk dominates the center, its surface organized with the precision of someone who values order. 2 people wait with Dante. The woman commands attention immediately, statuesque in a burgundy suit that fits like armor. Her hair is natural, worn in intricate braids that must take hours to maintain. She has the bearing of someone who's won every argument she's ever had. The man beside her is compact, economical, with the kind of stillness that marks serious training. Asian American, maybe late 30s, with observant eyes that catalog everything without seeming to look directly at anything. "Mira Merchant," Dante says. "Gabriela Santos and James Chen." Gabriela's handshake is firm, her nails impeccable. "Ms. Merchant, Shall we discuss the terms of your employment? The word employment makes me want to laugh, but I swallow it. Please. We settle into leather chairs arranged around a coffee table made from a single slab of walnut. Gabriella produces documents from a leather portfolio, each page tabbed and annotated. Mr. Salvatore has outlined specific terms, she begins, her voice carrying the cadence of someone accustomed to courtrooms. $200,000 upon execution of this agreement. An additional $300,000 upon successful completion of objectives related to the Castellano investigation. All living expenses covered during the term of engagement. She walks me through each clause with methodical precision. Protection protocols, confidentiality requirements, exit conditions that are surprisingly generous. If you choose to relocate after completion, Gabriella continues, Mr. Salvatore will provide comprehensive identity documentation and sufficient funds to establish yourself anywhere in the world. If you choose to remain in Chicago, employment will be offered in one of his legitimate enterprises at a salary commensurate with your experience. James speaks for the first time, his voice quiet, but carrying authority. Security-wise, you'll have 24-hour protection. Rotating team. All former military or law enforcement. This location is secure, but if you need to leave, we have protocols. And if the Castellanos find me anyway? I ask. They won't, James says simply. But if somehow they did, you're designated. Beneficiary receives the full contract amount plus $1 million settlement. Mr. Salvatore insures his people. I look at Dante, who's been silent during this presentation. And when it's over? What happens then? You choose, he says. Complete freedom, Mira. That's the promise. The contract sits before me, professional and thorough. Everything I need and more than I dared hope for. I pick up the Mont Blanc pen Gabriella offers. Feel its weight. One condition, I say. I want full involvement. Not just numbers from a distance. I want to understand the operations, see this through completely. Something shifts in Dante's expression. That increases your risk significantly. I know. But I need it. Need to actively destroy the people who destroyed me. He studies me for a long moment, then nods once. Agreed. I sign my name. The contract signature feels final, irrevocable. Gabriella collects the documents with brisk efficiency, producing copies that she slides across the table to me. Welcome to an extremely unusual employment arrangement, Ms. Merchant. My card is in your folder. Call me day or night if you have concerns. Thank you, I say, and mean it. There's something reassuring about her crisp professionalism, the way she treats this like any other business negotiation. James stands, gestures toward the hallway. I'd like to show you the security setup if you have a few minutes. Better you understand how everything works. I follow him through the penthouse, and he points out details I'd missed. Cameras hidden in light fixtures, reinforced doors that look decorative, but are actually steel core, bulletproof glass on all windows, panic buttons disguised as ordinary light switches in every room. The elevator requires biometric access, he explains as we walk. Only 4 people have clearance. You, Mr. Salvatore, myself, and Marco, who you met last night. Anyone else trying to reach this floor triggers silent alarms. You've thought of everything. That's the job. He shows me his phone, pulls up an app with live feeds from multiple cameras. You'll have this access too. Anytime you want to check the perimeter, you can. Knowledge is comfort in situations like this. We return to the library where Dante has cleared the coffee table and set up a laptop, external monitors, and what looks like a secure server setup. He glances up as we enter. James giving you the full briefing? Comprehensive, I confirm. I feel like I'm in a spy movie. Less glamorous, more tedious. Dante gestures to the chair beside his. But effective. Ready to start looking at what we're dealing with? Gabriella has departed, leaving the 3 of us. I settle into the indicated chair, and Dante wakes the laptop. The screens fill with financial documents, account statements, corporate filings. This is everything I've been able to obtain on current Castellano operations, he says. Some legally acquired, some less so. Can you work with this? I lean forward, scanning the data with the practiced eye of someone who's done this for years. Even at a glance, I can see patterns, irregularities, the telltale signs of money being moved and hidden. This is good, I murmur, already making mental notes. Better than what I had access to at the FBI. How did you get the offshore account? Information? Let's just say I have friends in financial institutions who value my business more than the Castellanos. Dante pulls up another screen. This is their current structure as I understand it. 17 shell corporations, accounts in 8 countries, multiple layers of obfuscation. I study the organizational chart, and pieces start clicking together. They've expanded since I testified, added new layers, changed some of the corporate structures. But the underlying pattern is the same. Victor isn't as creative as he thinks he is. Can you trace the money flows? Given time and the right access, yes. I point to one of the shell corporations. This one is new. Registered in the Cayman Islands 3 months ago. See how it's positioned? It's designed to catch funds from these 3 sources before they're distributed here and here. Dante leans closer, following my finger across the screen. Meaning? Meaning it's a vulnerability. If we can freeze or drain that account, we disrupt their entire distribution network. Money gets stuck in the pipeline, can't reach where it needs to go. I'm warming to this now, falling into the analytical space where I'm most comfortable. It would take them weeks to reroute everything, and in the meantime, people don't get paid. How long to set that up? To identify the exact mechanism? A few days? To actually execute? We'd need cooperation from someone in the Cayman banking system. James speaks from where he's been standing by the window. I can arrange that, have a contact who owes me a significant favor. I look between them. These 2 men casually discussing international financial manipulation like it's ordering takeout. This is really happening. We're actually doing this. Having second thoughts? Dante asks, and there's no judgment in the question. Genuine concern, maybe, but no pressure. No, the opposite. I pull the laptop closer, start opening files. I'm realizing how much damage we can actually do. The FBI was hamstrung by legal restrictions, proper channels, evidence requirements. You're not. No, we're not. Dante's smile is sharp. Which is why you're more valuable to me than you ever were to them. We work through the morning, and I fall into a rhythm that feels like coming home. This is what I'm good at, what I was trained for. Following money trails, identifying patterns, spotting the places where complex systems become vulnerable. Dante proves to be surprisingly knowledgeable, asking intelligent questions, understanding concepts quickly. He's not just muscle and intimidation. There's a sharp mind behind those dark eyes. Around 1, Marco appears with lunch. Salads with grilled chicken, fresh bread, sparkling water. We eat at the desk, neither of us wanting to break momentum. Here, I say, pulling up a document. This investment fund. It looks legitimate on the surface, but the returns are impossible. See these percentages? No legal investment strategy generates this kind of consistent profit. Dante studies the numbers. So it's what, a front? A front and a laundering mechanism. Money goes in dirty from their various operations, gets invested, comes out clean with documented returns. I highlight several transactions. But if we expose this to the SEC, provide evidence of the fraud, they'll freeze everything pending investigation. That's probably $15 million locked up immediately. Can you build that evidence package? Already doing it. I'm pulling up supporting documents, cross-referencing dates and amounts, building the narrative that will convince regulators. Give me 48 hours, and I'll have something prosecutable. James has been working his own laptop, coordinating security details and making contacts. He looks up now. The Cayman connection can meet day after tomorrow. says he can facilitate account access for the right price. Pay it, Dante says without hesitation. Then to me, what else do you need? Access to more recent transaction data if possible. The newer the information, the harder it is for them to claim it's outdated or irrelevant. I pause. And honestly, coffee. Lots of coffee. Dante's laugh is genuine, warm, that I can definitely provide. He disappears into the kitchen, and James catches my eye. You're good at this. It's what I do. Did. Whatever I am now. What you are now is someone who's going to help us dismantle a criminal empire. He closes his laptop. For what it's worth, I think you made the right choice. Salvatore is one of the good ones, relatively speaking. Good being a relative term in organized crime? Good being someone who has a code and actually follows it. Who protects his people and doesn't target civilians. James stands, stretches. I've worked for worse in the legitimate military. Dante returns with a French press and proper cups, the coffee rich and dark. He pours for both of us, and our fingers brush as I accept the cup. The touch is brief, incidental, but I feel it more than I should. Thank you, I say, meaning more than just the coffee. You're welcome. His eyes hold mine for a moment longer than necessary. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're here, that you're alive, even if the circumstances are complicated. Complicated is one word for it. What would you call it? I consider the question, looking around the library at the financial data spread across multiple screens, at the security feed showing armed men protecting this building, at this man who's offering me revenge and safety in equal measure. Necessary, I say finally. Terrifying. And possibly the first thing that's made sense in 6 months. His smile is soft, almost vulnerable. I'll take that. We work until evening, until my eyes blur and my brain feels overfull. I've identified 7 major vulnerabilities in the Castellano financial structure, started building evidence packages for 3, and outlined a strategy that could cost them upward of $50 million in frozen or seized assets. It's a good start. It's a very good start. And as I finally close the laptop and accept Dante's offer of dinner, I realize I haven't thought about the cold in hours, haven't looked over my shoulder or calculated escape routes. For the first time, since this nightmare began, I feel like I'm moving forward instead of just surviving. Dinner is rosemary chicken with roasted vegetables, prepared by someone who clearly isn't Dante this time. A woman in her 60s appears from what must be a service entrance I hadn't noticed, sets the table on the terrace despite the cold, and disappears without a word. That's Rosa, Dante explains, holding out my chair. She's been with the family for 30 years. Comes in the evenings, prepares meals, maintains the household. She doesn't speak much English, prefers it that way. Convenient for your line of work. Convenient for her peace of mind. He pours wine, something red that probably costs more than I want to know. Rosa believes I'm an import-export, which is technically true if you don't examine the details too closely. The terrace has heat, lamps that take the edge off the November chill, and the view of Chicago at night is spectacular. Light spread out like a galaxy, the lake of vast darkness beyond. This is surreal, I say, cutting into chicken that's perfectly cooked. Yesterday I was freezing in a park. Tonight I'm having wine on a penthouse terrace, plotting financial terrorism. Financial justice, Dante corrects with a slight smile. Terrorism is such a harsh word. You're destroying their operations systematically. That's terrorism from their perspective. Fair point. He eats with the same precision he brings to everything else, economical and deliberate. Does it bother you, what we're doing? I consider the question honestly. It should, probably. I spent years on the right side of the law, believed in the system, in proper channels and evidence and justice. I take a sip of wine, let it warm me. But the system failed, betrayed me, used me, left me to die. So, no, it doesn't bother me. Not anymore. That's the anger talking. Maybe, but it's also clarity. I meet his eyes across the table. I've seen both sides now. The legal approach got me nothing but a target on my back. Your approach might actually accomplish something. Our approach, he corrects. This is a partnership, Mira. Your expertise, my resources, equal contribution. The word partnership settles between us, weighted with implications. We're not equals, not really. He has all the power, the money, the protection. But he's offering the fiction of equality, and I find I want to believe it. Tell me about Victor, I say, changing the subject to something safer. You said he took over 8 months ago. What's he like? Dante's expression hardens. Impulsive, aggressive, thinks violence solves everything. His father was ruthless, but strategic. Victor just burns everything down and assumes he can rebuild from the ashes. He sounds unstable. He is, which makes him dangerous. Dante refills both our glasses. Luca Castellano, his father, understood that our world operates on reputation and relationships. You can't rule by fear alone because eventually someone stops being afraid. Victor hasn't learned that yet. But he will. He'll learn or he'll die. Those are the only two outcomes for men like him in this business. No emotion in Dante's voice, just statement of fact. I'm betting on the latter. We eat in comfortable silence for a while, the city noise a distant hum below us. I'm struck by how normal this feels, how quickly I've adapted to this strange new reality. Maybe humans are more resilient than we think, or maybe I'm just desperate enough to accept any port in a storm. Can I ask you something personal? I venture. You can ask. I may not answer, but you can ask. Why aren't you married? Someone in your position. I'd think there would be pressure for heirs, continuity, all that traditional family structure. Something shifts in his expression, a flash of old pain quickly masked. There was someone, years ago, before I took over the family. She was civilian, didn't know what I was. What happened? I told her the truth. Thought she deserved to know before we got more serious. He stares out at the city. She left the same day. Said she couldn't be with someone who lived outside the law, who endangered everyone around him just by existing. I'm sorry. Don't be. She was right. He looks back at me. This life, it's not fair to ask someone to share it. The constant danger, the secrets, the fact that every relationship becomes leverage that enemies can exploit. It's too much to ask. So you've been alone? I've been careful. He stands, begins clearing plates with unconscious domesticity. There's a difference. I help him carry dishes inside, and we work together in the kitchen. Rosa has left everything clean, but we rinse plates anyway, falling into an easy rhythm. His sleeve brushes my arm, and I'm hyper-aware of his proximity, the heat of him in the cool kitchen. Mira, he says quietly, not looking at me. I need you to understand something. What? This arrangement, our partnership, it can't become complicated. He sets down the plate he's holding, turns to face me. You're vulnerable right now, traumatized, and I'm the person offering safety. That creates a dynamic that isn't real, isn't sustainable. Heat rises in my cheeks because he's calling out something I've barely acknowledged to myself. The attraction I've been feeling, the way my pulse jumps when he's close. He's right that it's probably just trauma response, gratitude manifesting as something else. I know, I say, forcing myself to meet his eyes. I'm not confused about what this is. Good. But he doesn't step back, doesn't create the distance his words suggest he should. Because in another circumstance, another life, I would absolutely pursue this. You're brilliant, brave, stubborn as hell. Exactly the kind of person I'd want to know better. But not in this life. Not in this life, he agrees. Not while you're dependent on me for safety. Not while the power dynamic is this skewed. He's being honorable, which makes me want him more, which is probably exactly his point about complicated dynamics and trauma response. I appreciate the honesty, I say, and I do, even if part of me wishes he'd been less honorable, more willing to blur the lines we're carefully drawing. It's the least I can do. He steps back finally, creating the physical distance to match the emotional boundaries. You should rest. Tomorrow we start implementing the financial strategies and it's going to get intense. I retreat to the guest room, close the door, and lean against it. My heart is racing. My skin feels too warm, and I'm angry at myself for feeling things I have no business feeling. He's right. The power dynamic is wrong. The circumstances are wrong, and anything between us would be built on a foundation of trauma and necessity. That's not real. Can't be real. But as I get ready for bed, washing my face in the obscenely luxurious bathroom, I can't quite convince myself that what I'm feeling is entirely manufactured. Tomorrow, I tell myself. Tomorrow I focus on work, on revenge, on destroying the Castellanos. Everything else is distraction, but sleep is a long time coming, and when it does, I dream of dark eyes and careful hands and the scent of sandalwood. Morning comes too early, announced by soft knocking and the aroma of fresh coffee. I surface from dreams I don't want to examine too closely, disoriented until reality reasserts itself. Penthouse, protection, partnership with a man I'm trying very hard not to think about in ways I shouldn't. Mira? James needs to brief you on today's schedule. Dante's voice through the door, professional and distant. Good. That's good. That's what we need. Give me 10 minutes, I call back. I dress quickly in clothes that appeared in the closet overnight. Black trousers, a cream silk blouse, a structured blazer that makes me look competent and untouchable. Armor for whatever today brings. James waits in the library with Dante, both men studying multiple screens displaying security feeds and what looks like building blueprints. Good morning, James says without preamble. We have a meeting at 2 this afternoon. Downtown Neutral Territory. My contact from the Cayman banking system is in town, willing to facilitate the account access we discussed. That was fast. When you're paying premium rates, people move quickly. Dante hands me an espresso. Careful not to let our fingers touch this time. The meeting is at a private club I own. Secure location, no possibility of surveillance. What do I need to prepare? Specifics on which Castellano accounts you want accessed, what information you need extracted, and how we execute without leaving traces. James pulls up a document on the laptop. My contact is good, but he needs clear instructions. One shot at this. I settle into work mode, the part of my brain that lives in numbers and patterns taking over. For the next 3 hours, I build a detailed extraction plan. Which accounts to target, what data to pull, how to make it look like routine banking activity rather than corporate espionage. Dante works beside me, asking questions that show he's following every detail. He understands financial systems better than most criminals probably do, sees the implications of each move. If we drain this account, I explain, highlighting a series of transactions, it doesn't just cost them money. It breaks trust with their European partners who use this route for their own operations. The Castellanos become a liability, and their allies distance themselves. Exactly. Victor can't operate in isolation. He needs the network his father built. We systematically destroy that network, and he's got nothing. James looks up from his own laptop. How long before they realize what's happening? Depends on how good their accountants are. I pull up another screen, show them the complexity of the Castellano financial structure. This level of obfuscation means they probably only audit thoroughly once a quarter. We could have weeks before they notice the damage. Or they could notice immediately if someone's paying attention, Dante cautions. We proceed assuming they're smarter than they probably are. At 1:30, a car arrives. Different from the SUVs I've seen before, this is a sleek sedan that screams corporate executive rather than criminal enterprise. Marco drives again, and I'm starting to understand he's more than just a driver. Confidant, maybe. Trusted family. The club occupies the top floor of a building in the Loop, accessible only through a private elevator that requires a key card. The interior is all dark wood and leather. the kind of place where deals happen over whiskey and handshakes. A man waits in a private room, surrounded by windows that offer panoramic views, but are clearly treated to prevent outside surveillance. He's younger than I expected, maybe 40, with the polished appearance of legitimate wealth. Expensive suit, expensive watch, the confidence of someone who's never had to worry about money. "Dante," he greets, shaking hands. "Been too long, Robert. Thanks for making time on short notice." Dante gestures to me. "This is my associate, Mira. She'll be walking you through the technical requirements." Robert's handshake is professional, his eyes assessing but not invasive. "Ms. Mira, Dante says you need access to some offshore accounts. Cayman Islands specifically." I pull out the tablet I'd prepared, show him the list. These 5 accounts, all held by corporations registered in the islands. I need transaction histories going back 6 months, current balances, and authorized signatories. He studies the list, and I see recognition flicker across his face. "These are Castellano holdings. That a problem?" Dante's voice has gone flat, dangerous. "Just want to understand the landscape." Robert sets down the tablet. "The Castellanos bank with several institutions in the islands. I have access to 3 of them through various channels. These accounts," he highlights 2, "I can get you everything you need within 24 hours. These 3 are harder, might take a week." "What's your price?" I ask. "For all 5 accounts, complete data extraction?" 200,000. I glance at Dante, who nods once. "Done," he says. "Half now, half on delivery." "Acceptable." Robert produces his own tablet, and they handle the financial transfer with practiced efficiency. Then he turns back to me. "You'll need secure delivery. Can't exactly email this kind of data. Encrypted drive, delivered by courier to a location I'll specify," I say. "Standard dead drop protocol." His eyebrows rise slightly. "You've done this before." "I've worked sensitive investigations. Not technically a lie." We spend another 30 minutes going over specifics, establishing communication protocols, ensuring nothing can be traced back to any of us. Robert is professional, thorough, and clearly accustomed to operating in gray areas. As we're preparing to leave, he catches Dante's arm. "Word of advice, old friend. The Castellanos have been making noise about a traitor in their organization, someone feeding information to enemies. They're paranoid, sloppy. Dangerous combination. Noted," Dante says. "Anything specific?" "Just that they've killed 2 of their own people in the last week, convinced they were leaking intelligence. Whatever you're planning, move fast. They're unstable right now. The drive back is quiet, all of us processing Robert's warning. 2 dead in a week, killed by their own organization. Victor is spiraling, seeing threats everywhere. This is good for us," I say finally. "Paranoia makes people make mistakes. Also makes them unpredictable," James counters from the front seat. "Harder to anticipate their moves when they're acting on emotion rather than strategy." Back at the penthouse, Dante pours scotch for himself and offers me wine. We settle in the library, the city sprawling below us as dusk turns everything amber and shadow. "You were impressive today," he says quietly. "Professional, precise. Robert's not easy to manage, but you handled him perfectly. I know what I'm doing. I accept the wine. Let it warm me. This is what I was trained for, even if the application is different now. Any regrets? About signing on with me?" I consider the question honestly, looking at where I am versus where I was 72 hours ago. "No regrets. This feels right. Like I'm finally doing something instead of just running." "Good." He raises his glass. "To doing something." "To revenge," I counter. "To justice," he corrects with a slight smile. We drink as the city lights come on one by one. 2 people bound together by necessity and revenge, trying very hard to ignore the other things binding us. The data arrives 36 hours later, delivered by courier to a bookstore in Lincoln Park that Dante apparently owns through one of his legitimate holding companies. James retrieves it personally, returning to the penthouse with a drive smaller than my thumb that contains enough information to dismantle a criminal empire. I plug it into the secured laptop, and the files bloom across my screen like evidence of original sin. Transaction histories, account balances, authorized signatures, routing information, everything I'd asked for and more. Robert had been thorough. "This is incredible," I murmur, already diving into the data. Look at this. They're moving money through the Cayman accounts to Luxembourg, then back to shell corporations in Delaware. Classic layering, but the pattern is consistent enough to trace. Dante leans over my shoulder, close enough that I catch sandalwood and something uniquely him. I force myself to focus on the screen, not on the heat of him behind me. Can you map the entire flow? He asks. Give me a few hours. My fingers are already flying across the keyboard, pulling data, cross-referencing, building the financial architecture that will show us exactly where the Castellanos are vulnerable. He leaves me to work, and I sink into that focused state where nothing exists except numbers and patterns. This is where I'm most comfortable, most myself. The world reduces to data points and connections, logic and evidence. By midnight, I have it. A complete map of Castellano money movement, $52 million flowing through accounts in 7 countries, all of it traceable, all of it vulnerable. I find Dante in his own office down the hall, working through what looks like legitimate business contracts.
Import-export, he'd said.
I wonder how much of his operation is actually legal, how much is just very good cover. I have it, I announce from the doorway. He looks up, and something in his expression shifts when he sees me. Pride, maybe, or something more complicated. Show me. We spread the financial map across his desk, and I walk him through every connection, every vulnerability, every place where we can strike. He follows it all, asks sharp questions, sees implications I hadn't considered. If we hit these 3 accounts simultaneously, I explain, highlighting them on the screen, we trap approximately 18 million in frozen assets. The banks will hold funds pending investigation, and with the evidence we provide to regulators, those investigations will take months. And their European partners will panic when they see their money frozen. Will demand the Castellanos make them whole immediately. I pull up another document, which Victor can't do because his liquid capital is here. In these accounts we're also targeting. He'll be overextended, unable to cover obligations. Dante studies the map with the intensity of a general planning a campaign. This destroys them financially, but it doesn't end the threat. Victor will still come after us, after you, even if he's broke. I know. I'd been thinking about this, about the fact that revenge and safety aren't the same thing. That's why we need the second phase, which is, we make him vulnerable to his own people. I pull up organizational charts, the Castellano family structure. Victor's power comes from the people he controls. His captains, his soldiers, the network his father built. If we can turn them against him, make him look weak and incompetent, they'll remove him for us. Internal coup. Exactly. We provide evidence of his failures to the right people. Show them he's lost millions through stupidity and recklessness. Show them he's making enemies unnecessarily, destroying relationships that were profitable. I meet Dante's eyes. Men like that, they follow strength. When Victor looks weak, they'll abandon him. And when he's isolated, then he's just one man with a grudge and no resources to act on it. I close the laptop. Neutralized. Dante is quiet for a long moment, studying me with an intensity that makes my pulse jump. You're terrifying, he says finally. You know that? I'm thorough. You're brilliant. He stands, moves around the desk toward me, and ruthless in ways I didn't expect. They tried to kill me. Multiple times. Ruthless seems appropriate. It is. He's close now. Too close, and I should step back, but I don't. Mira, I need to say something. Don't. I know where this is going, can see it in his eyes. You were right before. About boundaries, about the power dynamic being wrong. I was right. He agrees. But I was also lying to both of us. My breath catches. Dante, let me finish. His hand comes up, not touching me, but close enough that I feel the heat. I told you this couldn't be complicated. That the circumstances were wrong, the timing was wrong. All of that is still true. Then why are we having this conversation? Because I'm done pretending I don't feel this. His eyes hold mine, dark and honest. Done pretending that having you here, working beside me, being brilliant and fierce and unbreakable, doesn't affect me. This is the trauma, I say. But I don't sound convinced even to myself. I'm grateful for the protection, and you're the person providing it. That's not real, isn't it? He does touch me now, fingers gentle under my chin, tilting my face up. Or is that just the excuse we're both using? I should pull away, should maintain the boundaries we'd agreed on, keep this professional and uncomplicated. Should remember that he's a criminal, and I'm supposed to be one of the good guys, even if that distinction has gotten blurry. Instead, I lean into his touch. This is a terrible idea, I whisper. Probably the worst I've had in years, he agrees. We should maintain professional distance. Absolutely. Should. The power dynamic is still skewed. Completely. His thumb traces my jawline and I shiver. Tell me to stop, Mira. Tell me this crosses a line and I'll step back. I'll never mention it again. I should. No, I should. Every rational part of my brain is screaming that this is exactly what we said wouldn't happen, what couldn't happen. But I've spent 6 months being rational, following rules, trusting systems that betrayed me. Maybe it's time to stop listening to all the reasons something won't work and start paying attention to the one reason it might. I can't tell you to stop, I admit, because I don't want you to. His smile is slow, devastating. Thank God. I was trying to be honorable and it was killing me. When he kisses me, it's nothing like I expected. Not aggressive or claiming, but careful, questioning, giving me every opportunity to change my mind, to pull back, to reinstate the boundaries we're obliterating. I don't pull back. I kiss him like I've been wanting to for days, since he wrapped me in his coat and offered me a choice when I had none. My hands find his shoulders, his arms come around me, and for a moment nothing exists except this. Then his phone rings, shattering the moment. He pulls back, breathing hard, and I see frustration and regret war across his face. I have to take this, he says, glancing at the screen. It's Marco. He wouldn't call unless it was urgent. Reality crashes back, and I step away, trying to regulate my breathing. My racing heart, Dante answers, and I watch his expression shift from frustration to alertness, to something darker. When? How many? Understood. Lockdown protocol. Nobody in or out. He hangs up, and when he looks at me, I see the criminal beneath the careful, civilized exterior. What happened? The Castellanos just hit one of my restaurants. 3 of my people are dead. The penthouse transforms in minutes. James appears with 2 other men I haven't met, all armed, all moving with military precision. Security feeds multiply across screens, showing angles of the building, the street, every approach vector. This is what Dante's world really looks like when the veneer of civilization is stripped away. 3 dead, 2 wounded, Marco reports, arriving with blood on his shirt that I hope isn't his. They came in shooting, didn't even pretend it was anything but a message. Left this. He hands Dante a phone, screen showing a video. I move closer, watch over Dante's shoulder. Victor Castellano fills the frame, standing in what looks like a warehouse, smiling like a shark. Salvatore, Victor says in accented English. You think you can move against my family without consequences? You think I don't know about your pet, accountant? My blood turns to ice. Mira Merchant. The woman who testified against my father. The woman you're hiding in your expensive tower. Dante's hand finds mine, squeezes once. Warning or reassurance, I'm not sure. I want her, Victor continues. Delivered to me within 48 hours or I keep killing your people. 1 location every 12 hours until you comply. Your choice, Dante. Your organization or 1 treacherous woman. The video ends. The room is silent except for the hum of electronics and my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. They know, not just that I'm alive, but exactly where I am and who's protecting me. How? I manage. How did they find out? Leak somewhere in my organization, Dante says, voice empty of emotion. Or surveillance we didn't catch. Or Robert in the Caymans. Doesn't matter now. They know. Then I leave. The words come out steadier than I feel. I disappear. You tell them you don't know where I went. This ends. No. Dante's voice cuts like a blade. That's not happening. 3 people are dead because of me. How many more before? Not because of you. He turns to face me fully, and I see fury in his eyes, cold and controlled. Because Victor is a rabid dog who needs to be put down. You're the excuse, not the reason. James speaks up from his position by the monitors. Boss is right. Victor's been escalating for weeks. He wants war, If it wasn't this, it would be something else. What do we do? I ask, hating how helpless I sound. Dante's expression shifts, becomes the calculating strategist I've watched work through financial documents. We accelerate the timeline. Hit every vulnerability we've identified all at once. Burn his entire operation to the ground before he can kill anyone else. That'll take time we don't have. Then we make time. He turns to Marco. Lock down all our locations. Armed security, nobody in or out without verification. Move the families somewhere safe. On it. Marco disappears, already on his phone. James, I need our best people ready to move by morning. Multiple teams, multiple targets. Dante pulls up the financial map we'd created. Mira's going to tell us exactly where to hit them, and we're going to do it simultaneously. Overwhelm their ability to respond. And Victor? James asks. Victor comes for me directly when he realizes what we've done. Dante's smile is predatory. I'll be ready. The next 6 hours are chaos. I work with James and his team, walking them through every account, every vulnerability, every place where we can strike the Castellano operation. Dante coordinates with people across the city, calling in favors, positioning resources, preparing for war. At 3 a.m, I find him alone in his office, staring at photos on his phone. I recognize one of the faces. Young man, Marco's eyes, smiling in what looks like a family gathering. Marco's son, Dante says quietly, sensing my presence. Antonio, the Castellanos killed him 6 weeks ago. Just turned 24. I move closer. Look at the photo of a life ended too soon. I'm sorry. This is what I was trying to protect you from understanding. This world, it takes everything. Takes people you love and turns them into casualties. He sets the phone down. That's why I said we couldn't do this. Couldn't be more than professional partners. But we are, I say softly. Already are, whatever we call it. Yes. He stands, turns to face me. Which means you're a target now. Not just because you testified against the Castellanos, but because Victor will use you to hurt me. So we hurt him first, destroy everything he's built. I move into his space, refusing to be afraid. That's still the plan, right? That's the plan. His hands frame my face, gentle despite the violence we're planning. But after, when this is done, you need to disappear. Take the money, the new identity, go somewhere they'll never find you. And you? I stay. Clean up the mess. Rebuild what Victor destroyed. Continue running the family. He kisses my forehead, and it feels like goodbye. This was always going to be temporary, Mira. Just took me too long to remember that. What if I don't want temporary? Then you're not thinking clearly. He releases me, steps back, rebuilds the walls I'd watched him lower. We finish this. We survive, and then you get the life you deserve, somewhere far away from mine. Before I can argue, James appears in the doorway. Teams are in position. We're ready when you give the word. Dante transforms, becomes the boss his people follow into danger. Execute in 30 minutes. All targets simultaneously. By the time Victor wakes up, he'll have nothing left. I watch from the penthouse as dawn breaks over Chicago, knowing that across the city, Dante's people are moving into position. In the Cayman Islands, Robert is draining accounts. In Luxembourg, federal regulators are receiving anonymous tips about suspicious transactions. In Delaware, shell corporations are being dissolved by paperwork I'd filed under false credentials. The sun rises on the last day of Victor Castellanos' empire. My phone buzzes with confirmations. Account frozen. Evidence delivered. Targets acquired. Each message is another piece of Victor's world collapsing. By 8 a.m., it's done. $52 million frozen or seized. 6 shell corporations exposed and shut down. Evidence of money laundering delivered to authorities in 3 countries. The Castellano financial network, 3 generations in the building, destroyed in a single coordinated strike. He knows, James says, monitoring communications they've intercepted. Victor is losing his mind, threatening everyone, killing messengers. His own people are turning on him. Good, Dante says. Let him spiral. Scared men make mistakes. The mistake comes at noon. Victor, desperate and furious, makes a move so stupid it's almost insulting. He comes to Dante's building with 12 men, thinking he can storm a fortress with brute force. They don't make it past the lobby. James's security team is ready, and the fight is over in minutes. Victor's men, outgunned and outmaneuvered, surrender or fall. Only Victor himself escapes, fleeing into the street like the coward he is. "Let him run," Dante orders when James asks if they should pursue. He's finished. No money, no organization, no allies. Just a dead man who hasn't stopped breathing yet. But I know better. Know that desperate men are the most dangerous. That Victor won't stop until he's made someone pay for his humiliation. That night, as Dante sleeps fitfully in his room and I lie awake in mine, I make a decision. Victor wants me, has always wanted me, and he's willing to destroy everything to get revenge. So I'll give him what he wants. I dress in dark clothes, disable the security app on my phone, and slip out of the penthouse using the service elevator Rosa showed me. Leave a note for Dante that simply says, "Ending this my way." Trust me. The streets are cold, but I don't feel it. Don't feel anything except purpose as I make my way to the one place I know Victor will be. The warehouse where he filmed that video, coordinates I'd pulled from metadata he was too stupid to scrub. He's there, like I knew he would be. Cornered, desperate, waiting for the next attack. I walk through the door with my hands visible, unarmed, alone. "Victor Castellano," I call out. "I'm here. Let's finish this." He emerges from shadows with a gun, but his hands shake. This close, I see what desperation looks like. What we've reduced him to. "You destroyed everything," he says. "You tried to kill me, multiple times. This is just me returning the favor." I take a step closer. "But I'm unarmed. You wanted me? Here I am." What Victor doesn't know is that James is in my ear, that Dante's people have surrounded this warehouse, that I'm not the helpless victim anymore. What Victor doesn't know is that I've already won. When Dante arrives minutes later, he finds Victor unconscious, disarmed by tricks James taught me, and me standing over him very much alive. "You're insane," Dante says, but he's smiling, brilliant and terrifying and completely insane. "I learned from the best," I reply. 3 months later, I stand in that same penthouse, watching snow fall over Chicago. Victor is in federal prison, his organization dissolved, his name a cautionary tale. The Castellanos are finished, and I'm still here. Still working with Dante, still pretending this is temporary, still falling deeper into a life I never planned but can't imagine leaving. He finds me at the window, wraps his arms around me from behind. "Still think you should disappear?" He murmurs against my hair. "Every day," I admit, "but I'm not very good at doing what I should." Thank God for that. We stand together as snow blankets the city, two people who found each other in impossible circumstances and decided that maybe, just maybe, impossible doesn't mean forever. Outside, the city glitters with promise and danger in equal measure. Inside, we've built something fragile and precious from the wreckage of our separate wars, and that, I'm learning, is enough.